Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Fukigen to Mononokean episode 10, and this was actually a bit of a conflicting episode for me, because while I did feel it was the most emotional episode, and possibly the best written episode, to me it was a little less entertaining than a lot of the others. And I'll go through it and explain sort of what I mean by that. But starting off, we just see where we left off, like Fukigen no Mononokean usually does, with Haruitsuki and Hanai at the temple, and Zenko's dad answering the door. He's really loud and angry and all that, and they make some jokes out of it. And then Zenko's like, "Be nice to them or I'll tell mom everything," or what? And I'm like, "What? What?" That seemed a bit out of nowhere and an odd thing to say. But we find out what kind of trouble Yaiko's in, and it's that he grew really big and got stuck. And apparently he ate some potatoes. Yaiko was really funny here, because I don't want to say he's my favorite character, but I really, really like Yaiko. So he was really funny, and they say the potatoes smell of yokai, so they go off to the field to find where they were. And it's really funny on the way there with Haruitsuki and Hanai arguing. The arguments they have and like their relationship is really a good character driving point and story driving point for the series. So them arguing was really funny and done really well. Especially, I love every time Haruitsuki like calls him a 5-year-old and stuff and says you can't sit still or you can't be quiet for 30 seconds. I really I love that. And also Zenko's character getting thrown into the mix. I hope we see her a lot more, because I really do like Zenko. And also we find out this episode that with Zenko, she can see Yaiko perfectly fine, but she still can't really see yokai that well. Like, she can only kind of sort of see Puffball. She can only see him like semi-transparently. So I thought that was interesting to note as well. But when they get to the field, it has this like crazy fog and stench, and the stench doesn't really bother Zenko, but it's pretty bad to Hanae, and it's like really terribly bad to Haruitsuki. So maybe it has something to do with their spiritual awareness as how much it affects them. At least that was my assumption of it. And we had a really, really funny scene that I laughed pretty hard at, with just Puffball jumping in the mud and then growing, and Hanai jumping in and yelling at Puffball. It was really funny. And then even funnier, that made me laugh even more, was when they find the Scarecrow yokai and he's just beating himself in the face with a potato. That was really, really good. But we find out Scarecrow yokai's name is Nobuo, and he's been trying to escape to the underworld and wants to be exorcised, but he can't leave this field. The like mud and fog and stuff keeps him there, and he will see a vision of his friend or whatever, and then he'll pass back out. So and wake up back in the middle of the field again. So Hanai and Haruitsuki try to carry him out, but they end up losing track of Puffball's presence, which was what Haruitsuki was using to guide them while in there and keep their place known. So they have to stop, and Haruitsuki's like, be quiet for 30 seconds, I'll try to open a gate here. And it was hilarious that Hanai could not be quiet for 30 seconds, but he ends up actually seeing the flashback of the field catching on fire, and it turns out Nobuo's friend was just a normal scarecrow, and he couldn't save the normal scarecrow from the fire, so he blames himself. And from that, Haruitsuki's like, I can't exorcise you because you're the one holding yourself here, and it's your own guilt. Which, this episode had incredible writing when it came to that. So the scene with Nobuo crawling out, that music, him seeing his friend, was absolutely amazing, and seeing everyone else still waiting for him at night was such a good scene. And when he comes back out and meets up with them, it was the saddest scene in the series. Like, I legit teared up at the ending to this episode. Like, honestly, I did. And what I think is incredible about this writing and incredible about this episode is it did make me laugh those times, it made me laugh a bit more than a lot of the episodes have. But when it came to the feels and when it came to that and the depth of the writing, we're writing about an inanimate object, just a normal scarecrow, and yet seeing it the way Nobuo did, And it was a look, not into the actual, oh, it was just a scarecrow that burnt up in a field, but it was a look into actual guilt and survivor's guilt and loss and how you move on with loss but don't forget about somebody. And because, like, such a complex and deep and sad and really heavy subject matter was told through just a scarecrow burning in a field, that's what I thought was amazing writing. And definitely the best writing in the series, in my opinion, that they took such a deep and heavy subject matter and conveyed it so well just through the story of this normal this yokai scarecrow and a normal scarecrow that burned to death in a field, even though it can't burn to death because it is just a normal scarecrow. So I don't know, the way they did that was incredible. But, and here's, like, I would normally say that was amazing writing, 10 out of 10, but when it came to actual entertainment, even though I did laugh at multiple places, and even though I thought the ending was really feelsy, and I felt like, and I teared up and stuff, the middle part was, it just felt really slow, and it was one of the only episodes where I was like, okay, how much is this episode gonna drag on? So, I don't know. I did still think, even before we got to the ending, I was like, I still think this is above average, this is a good episode, I want to give it like a 6.5, but after seeing that ending and tearing up and really thinking about like how deep the story was done with the guilt and loss themes explained the way they were and handled the way they were, I've got to bump that up to like, I feel like 8 is even too low now, because the story was done so well, but it wasn't the most entertaining. I'm just so conflicted. But even though I'm conflicted, and I want to give it a little bit more because of the story and a little bit less because of the entertainment value, I'm just going to stick with 8. I'm going to give it 8 Scarecrow Yokai out of 10, and oh man, my feels. So, making sure I didn't forget anything else I wanted to talk about. Nope, good. So, like if you did like this video, and comment down there and tell me what you thought of the episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Fukigen and Mononokean, 91 Days, the One Piece anime, and a bunch more. I will be covering another new anime in the fall that I think is going to be the Magical Girl Raising Project, or Maho Shoujo something. I don't know. I think that's what I'm going to cover for the fall when Mononokean and Taboo Tattoo and possibly 91 Days end. But I'm not sure exactly when 91 Days is ending. But either way, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.